Thanks again for tuning in to yet another video. We are looking at what people are calling a super cruiser. So like a super bike, a mixture of both, of course. I saw this thing and I thought it was like a complete rebuild. I thought somebody had built it out in their own garage, and I was impressed when I saw it. I didn't really pay attention to it up until I started seeing the videos, because I know Buell's been out of business for some time, and I guess somebody bought them. This is just stuff that I just researched and kind of looked up myself, wondering, what is this all about? Is this a concept bike? Is this real? Or is this just somebody who built this out? Because it looks exactly like somebody had just built it out. And you know what? They made it badass. All right. So the overall look of the bike, it's amazing the way it looks. Of course, if you guys are Harley fans, if you guys are FXR fans, and you guys know just by the look of this frame right here, you know what this is. All right. So looking into it, of course, this is not an air-cooled V-twin. This isn't made by Harley. This is made by Rolling Sands, which is the fella right here in the picture. And just my own impressions. Like I said, it looks badass. All right, I love the overall stance on it. Looking at a few numbers and looking at a few videos, I do have some concerns. They're not tried and true as far as research and development, of course, and parts, and just wondering about the powertrain myself, of course, because you see Harley, they've been having issues with both of their bikes, with their Revolution Max, and they've been having some issues with the Milwaukee 8. I believe they've improved that over the last couple years, but 2017, 2018, 2019 Milwaukee 8s, they have some issues. So looking at that, I started wondering, well, why couldn't they, use something that's been tried and true, like a Honda engine, like an Africa Twin engine, something that's been around for some time now. Throw that sucker in there. Of course, it's a liquid cooled, a lot of performance, a lot of power. Honda's using it for their Rebel 1100. It's an engine that's been around, and like I said, it's tried and true, and there's plenty of parts available for it. So once I started looking at the engine on this bike, I'm not too sure. They're claiming different things, but from what I understand, it's a Rotex V-twin, and supposedly it's a 1125 Rotex, which is basically what they used to have in their old Buell 1125R, and I guess it's modified, and they've increased the displacement up to 1190, so they could get what they claim is 175 horsepower, which is very impressive. That's a lot of power straight from the factory. I believe some of their other models have this same engine, and like I said, is it tried and true? Who knows? All right, I believe these guys are making it, and they make engines for just about everybody else. So I believe they should fall back on somebody else providing the engine, because I don't think anybody wants to go to a upstart company that doesn't have any history, any knowledge in building engines. I just believe it's better for them to just admit that they're getting their supplied engine or their powertrain from these fellas. And of course, as you guys can see, they make engines for Can-Am, they make engines for aviation, for ATVs, all different sorts of stuff. And this just makes it a little bit more, puts my mind at ease, knowing that that someone that has a good history of building engines, providing the power plant or the powertrain for this super cruiser that they're calling it. So here we can look at, of course, some of the numbers. I'm not gonna go over all this other stuff, but you guys can see 1190, 185 horsepower, 100 foot-pounds of torque, which is very impressive, and the bike is under 500 pounds. So everything about it, like I said, it's very impressive. They have a lot of information here. If you guys want to, take a look at this stuff, you guys can. But like I mentioned, it looks good on paper. But how much is this bike going to cost? How much is this going to cost? You could put a deposit on it, of course. I believe it's about $50, and you're on a list. Is it going to, when is it going to be released? Who knows? They have other models in the works. You guys can look at right here. Hammerhead 1190, 1190 SX. You have the Baja Dune Racer. which is kind of like the Pan America, I believe. And then you have the Super Touring, which is another, and they all have the same 1190 engine, which is good. Like I mentioned, that's pretty good for a manufacturer to be using the same powertrain across all the models and utilizing, of course, the resources and not, coming up with different things and overextending themselves. I believe this is a good idea. Anyways, enough rambling. Let's just look at some of the images. From what we can see, it's inverted forks, which is a plus, of course. Like I said, the bike weighs under 500 pounds, so it's very light, and it's got 180 horsepower, which is just amazing. Of course, liquid V-twin, 1190. Everything, of course, screams performance about it. You can see it's got a monoshuck. It's got a good-looking frame, of course. I'm pretty sure it's very sturdy. You also have, of course, the radiator, which looks very sleek on the overall design. It doesn't stick out like it does on the Revolution Max, which is very nice, of course. You have some tall risers on here. You have some, what they appear to be tapered down handlebars. You have the reserves right up there as well. So you have some decent technology. You have a full rear fender, which is, I really like the look of the full rear fender. I'm a huge fan. You also have a step-up seat. Everything about it, this screams club style build. Everything about it, of course. You have a chain drive on there too as well. And then look at that front rotor, a massive front disc right up there in the front, of course, and that's bolted onto the wheel right there. You can see it's not a floating. I guess maybe it is sort of floating, but you can see that it's directly it's on top of the wheel itself. So it's a huge rotor right there. So that's going to give you a lot of stopping power. As far as having the rotor not overheat, there's more surface area, so that heat could expand and it's not going to overheat. Who knows? Maybe it can, but I'm just saying it's a good design. I think I would have liked to have seen two of them, but like I said, this thing weighs under 500 pounds, so you probably don't need it. But 180 horsepower, that is a that is a lot of power, and it looks nice. You can just see it. I don't know where the air box is. That might be it right there, but there is no intake on this side. Maybe it's on the other side, but you can see how beautiful that engine looks. The overall design, both sides. So this is the left side of the engine, and it looks very nice. You can see that massive radiator right there, well designed. Like I said, these are concept designs. I think some of this is gonna, a lot of this is going to change, of course, when it comes to the full production and trying to keep the cost down on the bike. We might see, a couple parts here that are not going to be in the final design, but man, it is a good looking bike. And of course you have the Memphis shades, gauntlet fairing right there as well. It just screams club style build, all the way around. And you can see the placement of his feet. All right, so there's his leg, there's his knee. You can see the controls are a little bit further back than what we're probably used to. If this was a Sportster, your foot controls would be about right here, but you can see the angle of his leg, that the controls are a little bit behind, maybe right underneath your butt, which might be uncomfortable for a few. Man, this bike looks amazing. So there's the exhaust as well. You guys can see it looks really nice. Is that going to be the production? Probably not. EPA, of course, you have a lot of regulations, and I don't think they're going to allow this to go or to pass. You have a dashboard on there as well. You have a LCD, maybe a TFT speedo, maybe that's probably what that is. Maybe to control the tune and stuff like that. Maybe it's got ride modes. It's just a little bit more modern take of a Harley, which looks very nice. All right, it's a combination of your air-cooled and your Revolution Max, and I think Buell hit it right on its head. I think they nailed it. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Of course, dealer support, there's a lot of concerns, of course. Dealer support, supplier of parts. Are you going to have to get these imported? Are you going to have to get these shipped? On top of that, you know, being able to take this to a dealership and having them work on it, are you going to be forced to take it somewhere else? It's just, I mean, there's a lot of concerns here, of course. And then you also have to think about how long are they going to be in business for. But like I said, if this is, I mean, if they're using parts from a well-established manufacturer when it comes to the powertrain, then of course you are going to have that support long term. But if, you know, 1190, 1125, depending on the parts that are altered and who, you know, I mean, who's going to be able to supply those parts, I mean, there's a lot of ifs out there. But $50 deposit, I believe. $50 ain't that bad, but I mean, we've seen these things kind of turn out bad. You guys let me know in the comments how much you guys think this is going to go for. I believe it's going to be somewhere between 25 to 30, like I said. Anything over 30,000, man, that's a lot. But I mean, they're being made here in the United States, so we'll just see what happens. Good looking bike. Yeah, stay out there, stay safe. Don't believe everything you read. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.